Every October, I see gardeners packing up their tools, pulling out tired plants, and calling it a season. But what if I told you that October is actually the most important month to plant? That the choices you make right now could decide whether your garden thrives next year or struggles to recover come spring. When I first started gardening, I made the same mistake everyone else does. I thought fall was a time to stop. But then one year, I decided to experiment. I planted a few things just to see what would happen, and that decision completely changed my garden. By the time spring arrived, while everyone else was just getting started, I was already harvesting. That's when I learned the truth. October is opportunity disguised as an ending. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and welcome to Purely Garden, where we grow smarter, season by season. If you've ever wondered what to plant in October, or how to keep your garden alive while the world cools down, you're in the right place. In today's video, I'm sharing 18 must-plant vegetables you'll regret skipping this month, because each one helps you get ahead, strengthen your soil, and set yourself up for a thriving spring. So grab your notebook, pull on your gloves, and let's make this October your garden's secret weapon. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to Purely Garden for weekly stories, lessons, and down-to-earth tips from my own backyard. Let's grow together, starting right now. Vegetable number 1, spinach, the resilient green. When I think of October planting, spinach always comes first. It's one of those vegetables that quietly proves how powerful cool weather can be. I remember my very first fall garden. Honestly, I didn't expect much. I tossed a few spinach seeds into the soil, thinking the cold would kill them off before they even had a chance. But a few weeks later, I walked outside on a frosty morning and saw tiny green leaves standing strong against the chill. That moment completely changed the way I saw fall gardening. Spinach thrives in the cool, short days of October. It doesn't just survive, it sweetens in the cold. If you plant it now, it'll root deeply, stay hardy through frost, and be ready to harvest in just a few weeks. The best part? It keeps coming back. Whether you're working with raised beds, pots, or just a small patch of soil, spinach is your loyal companion through fall and into early winter. Skip it this month, and you'll miss out on one of the easiest, most rewarding greens your garden can give you. Vegetable number 2, garlic. The patience crop garlic taught me the beauty of slow rewards. I still remember the first time I planted it. It was late October, and honestly, I didn't expect much. I tucked a few cloves into the cold soil, covered them with mulch, and then forgot about them. Through the winter months, there was nothing to see, just bare ground and silence. But when spring arrived, I noticed tiny green shoots pushing through the frost. It felt like a quiet miracle, a reminder that growth doesn't always show itself right away. October is the perfect time to plant garlic. The cool soil helps it develop strong roots before the ground freezes, setting it up for a healthy, abundant summer harvest. Choose firm, organic cloves, and plant them about 2 inches deep, pointy side up. Once you plant garlic in fall, you'll never go back to spring planting. It's just that reliable. Skip it this month, and you'll miss the easiest way to fill your kitchen with the kind of flavor that only homegrown garlic can give. Vegetable number 3, kale, the toughest green. You'll ever grow kale is the plant that made me feel like a real gardener. It was one of the first vegetables that didn't give up on me when I made beginner mistakes. I overwatered it, underwatered it, even forgot to fertilize it for weeks, but somehow kale kept growing. I'll never forget walking out one cold October morning and seeing those deep green leaves standing tall, unfazed by the frost that had wilted everything else. That's when I realized kale isn't just tough, it's practically unstoppable. October is the perfect time to plant kale because it loves the cool weather. The chill in the air actually makes the leaves taste sweeter and more tender. You can grow it directly in the ground, in raised beds, or even in pots on your balcony. Once it gets going, you can harvest the outer leaves continuously and let the plant keep producing. If you skip kale this month, you'll miss out on one of the most dependable, nutritious, and forgiving crops your fall garden could ever have. Vegetable number 4, carrots. The sweet root secret. Carrots were the first crop that truly surprised me. I used to think they only belonged to spring gardens, but that changed the year I decided to sow them in late October. The weather was cool, the days were short, and I wasn't sure they'd even sprout. But a few weeks later, delicate green tops began to rise through the soil. By December, when I pulled up my first full-grown carrot, it was crisp, deep orange, and unbelievably sweet. That's when I learned the secret. Carrots love the cold. Planting carrots in October gives them time to mature slowly in cool soil, which draws out their natural sugars. The colder the nights get, the sweeter your carrots become. They're low maintenance, just keep the soil loose and moist so the roots can grow long and straight. And the best part, they can stay in the ground until you're ready to harvest, even after frost. Skip carrots this month, and you'll miss out on nature's candy, the kind you can only grow when the weather turns cool. Vegetable number 5, lettuce. Fast, forgiving, and fresh lettuce is the vegetable that kept my confidence alive when I first started gardening. I remember one October when everything else seemed to struggle. Broccoli stalled, peas refused to sprout, but lettuce just grew effortlessly. Within a few weeks, I had soft, vibrant leaves ready for harvest, even as the mornings grew colder. It was the first time I realized that fall gardening didn't have to be complicated. Sometimes you just need a crop that rewards you fast and reminds you why you love to grow. October is ideal for lettuce because the cooler weather keeps it from bolting and gives you crisp, flavorful leaves. You can sow seeds directly in the soil, scatter them in containers, or even grow them under a light cover if frost threatens. Harvest a few outer leaves at a time, and the plant keeps producing for weeks. If you skip lettuce this month, you'll miss one of the easiest, most refreshing greens to fill your salads, and one of the simplest joys of fall gardening. Vegetable number 6. Beets. The hidden powerhouse beets were a surprise love story in my garden. I planted them one chilly October, just to fill an empty bed, not expecting much. But when the first deep red stems started pushing through the soil, I was hooked. I remember pulling my first beet out of the cool autumn ground. It was earthy, sweet, and beautiful. I cooked it that evening with a little olive oil, and the flavor was unlike anything from the store. But the real discovery came later. The greens, tender, flavorful, and packed with nutrients. They quickly became my favorite fall stir-fry ingredient. Beets thrive in October because they prefer the cooler soil. The roots grow slowly and evenly, and the chill brings out their natural sweetness. Whether you plant classic red varieties or golden and striped ones, they add color and depth to your fall harvest. The trick is consistent watering and a bit of patience. You'll be rewarded twice, with both delicious greens and vibrant roots. Skip beets this month, and you'll miss one of the most versatile and beautiful crops your fall garden can give you. Vegetable number 7, Swiss chard, the rainbow workhorse. Swiss chard is the plant that made me fall in love with color in the garden. The first time I grew it, I didn't even plant it for eating. I just wanted something pretty to brighten my fall beds. When the stalks started glowing in shades of red, yellow, orange, and pink, it looked like stained glass under the autumn sun. But then I tasted it. Soft, earthy, slightly salty, and I realized this beauty wasn't just for show. It became a regular on my dinner plate from that day on. October is the perfect time to plant Swiss chard because it thrives in cooler weather and keeps producing long after other greens fade. It grows fast, handles light frost, and looks stunning in any garden space. You can harvest the young leaves for salads, or let them mature for sautéing, and the best part, it keeps coming back after you cut it. Skip Swiss chard this month, and you'll miss one of the most resilient, colorful, and generous vegetables that can carry your garden right into winter. Vegetable number 8, radishes. The 3-week reward radishes are the garden's instant gratification crop. I still remember the first October I planted them. I was impatient, eager to see something grow fast, and radishes didn't disappoint. Just 3 weeks after sowing those tiny seeds, I was pulling out crisp, round roots in shades of red and white. That feeling of success, especially in the cool, quiet days of fall, gave me a boost of confidence that carried me through the rest of the season. October is ideal for radishes because they love the chill. The cool soil keeps them mild and crunchy, and they grow incredibly fast, perfect for beginners or anyone wanting a quick win before winter. You can plant them between slower crops like carrots or kale to make the most of your space. The key is not to let them sit in the ground too long. Harvest as soon as they size up for the best flavor. Skip radishes this month, and you'll miss the easiest, most satisfying crop that proves gardening rewards patience, and a little impatience too. Vegetable number 9, broccoli, the bold floret. Broccoli was one of those crops that tested my patience, but rewarded me more than I expected. I remember planting it one chilly October, certain the cold would stop it in its tracks. Weeks went by, and all I saw were leaves, no heads, no signs of progress. I almost gave up. Then one frosty morning, I spotted tight little green florets forming at the center. It was like finding treasure after a long wait. That moment taught me that broccoli doesn't rush. It builds strength quietly, beneath the surface. October is the perfect month to plant broccoli, because the cool air helps it develop strong, compact heads and rich flavor. The trick is consistent moisture and a thick layer of mulch to keep the soil temperature steady. Once it's ready, you can harvest the main head and keep the plant growing for smaller side shoots. Skip broccoli this month, and you'll miss the chance to grow one of the most rewarding cool weather crops, a vegetable that teaches you that the best things in the garden truly take their time. Vegetable number 10, cabbage, the cool weather queen. Cabbage is the vegetable that taught me the importance of timing. In my first year of gardening, I planted it too late in spring, and by the time it started forming heads, the heat came in and ruined the crop. But when I tried again in October, everything changed. The cooler air wrapped around the young plants like a shield, and week by week, I watched them tighten into perfect, crisp heads. When I finally harvested my first full-grown cabbage, it was heavy, sweet, and worth every ounce of patience. October gives cabbage exactly what it needs: steady, cool temperatures and moist soil. The cold encourages tighter heads and a milder flavor. It grows well in raised beds or open soil, and once you mulch around the base, it can handle light frost with ease. Cabbage isn't just beautiful in the garden, it's a powerhouse in the kitchen, from coleslaw to soups to stir-fries. Skip it this month, and you'll miss the chance to grow one of the heartiest, most dependable crops of the fall season. Vegetable number 11, peas, the unexpected comeback. Peas were a happy accident in my garden. I'd always thought they were strictly a spring crop, until one October, an older gardener in my neighborhood shared her secret: plant peas again in the fall. I didn't quite believe her, but I decided to try. The soil was cool, the air was crisp, and within a couple of weeks, those delicate vines started climbing again. By late November, I was picking sweet, tender pods that tasted even better than my spring harvest. That little experiment changed the way I see the growing season. There's always a second chance in gardening, if you know when to take it. October gives peas the perfect growing conditions: cool air, gentle sunlight, and fewer pests. The plants grow slower, but stronger, and the flavor of full-grown peas is something special: crisp, juicy, and naturally sweet. You can plant snow peas, sugar snaps, or shelling varieties, and they'll reward you before the deep winter sets in. Skip peas this month, and you'll miss the simple joy of plucking fresh pods straight from the vine when the rest of the garden is winding down. Vegetable number 12. Onions, the slow starter. Onions are the quiet workers of my garden, the kind of crop that demands patience but pays you back tenfold. I remember my first fall planting. I pushed the tiny sets into the soil one chilly October afternoon, not expecting much. For months, nothing seemed to happen. But when spring came, I walked out to find strong green shoots reaching for the sky. It felt like the garden had been growing in secret all winter, just waiting for the right moment to reveal its progress. That's when I learned that onions don't rush. They take their time to build something lasting. October is the perfect month to plant onions because it gives them a head start before winter. They settle in, grow roots through the cold, and then take off as soon as the days lengthen. Plant the sets about an inch deep, pointy side up, and keep the soil loose so the bulbs can expand. By late spring or early summer, you'll have firm, flavorful onions ready to harvest. Skip onions this month, and you'll miss the chance to grow one of the most rewarding crops, one that quietly prepares for greatness while everything else rests. Vegetable number 13, mustard greens, the bold flavor test. Mustard greens were never part of my original garden plan. I discovered them completely by accident. One year, I bought a mixed seed packet, and these spicy leaves appeared out of nowhere. At first, I didn't even know what they were, but when I tasted that bold, peppery bite, I was instantly hooked. They became one of my favorite fall crops, not just for their flavor, but for their personality. Mustard greens are vibrant, fast-growing, and full of attitude, exactly the kind of plant that keeps your garden alive and exciting when everything else starts to fade. October is the perfect month to plant mustard greens. They thrive in cool air, grow quickly, and their flavor actually improves after a light frost. The leaves turn tender and slightly sweet while keeping that signature kick. You can grow them in rows or scatter the seeds across a bed for a full leafy carpet. They're also great companions for slower crops, adding color and life to empty spaces. Skip mustard greens this month, and you'll miss one of fall's most flavorful surprises. Proof that sometimes the best things in your garden are the ones you never planned for. Vegetable number 14, turnips, the overlooked root. Turnips are one of those vegetables that people overlook until they taste a homegrown one. I used to skip them completely, thinking they were bland and old-fashioned. But one October, I decided to give them a try, mostly because I had an empty bed and a handful of leftover seeds. A few weeks later, I was pulling up smooth, round roots with crisp white flesh and vibrant green tops. I roasted the roots that night and sautéed the greens the next morning, and from that point on, turnips earned their place in every fall garden I've planted since. October gives turnips exactly what they love: cool soil and steady moisture. They grow fast, and the colder it gets, the sweeter and more tender they become. You get a double harvest, the roots for roasting and the greens for cooking or juicing. They're low maintenance, resilient, and one of the best crops for filling in gaps between your other vegetables. Skip turnips this month, and you'll miss out on one of the easiest, most generous fall staples that quietly delivers far more than it promises. Vegetable number 15, arugula. The flavor bomb arugula was the vegetable that made me fall in love with fall salads. I still remember tasting my first homegrown leaf. It was sharp, peppery, and alive with flavor. I had planted it late one October, thinking it might be too cold, but within days those little green rosettes began to appear. Every morning after that, I'd walk out, brush off a bit of dew, and grab a handful for breakfast toast or a quick salad. It became my morning ritual, and it reminded me that even the smallest garden victories can bring real joy. October is perfect for arugula because the cool weather balances its boldness. The leaves grow tender, the flavor mellows slightly, and it stays productive for weeks. You can scatter the seeds thickly in a pot, bed, or even a window box. It doesn't need much space to thrive. Harvest it young for milder flavor, or let it mature for that spicy signature bite. Skip arugula this month, and you'll miss out on the easiest, most flavorful green that brings instant freshness to your fall table. Vegetable number 16, collard greens. Southern comfort collard greens carry a certain nostalgia for me. I grew up watching my grandmother tend to her collard patch every fall, rows of broad, dark green leaves swaying gently in the cool breeze. Back then, I didn't understand why she loved them so much. But years later, when I planted my first collards one October, I finally got it. The leaves grew big and strong, even after frost, and when I cooked them down slowly with garlic and olive oil, the taste was rich, comforting, and grounding. It felt like home in a bowl. October is the season collard greens wait for. The cooler weather brings out their best flavor, earthy, mild, and slightly sweet. They're incredibly hardy, able to withstand frost and even light freezes, making them one of the most dependable crops for fall and winter gardens. You can harvest the outer leaves as they mature and let the plant keep producing for months. Skip collard greens this month, and you'll miss one of the most nourishing, reliable, and soulful vegetables your fall garden can offer. Vegetable number 17, marsh corn salad. The forgotten green marsh is one of those quiet little crops that most gardeners walk right past, but once you grow it, you'll never forget it. I discovered it by chance while flipping through an old gardening magazine. The article called it the winter lettuce, and that intrigued me. So one October, I sprinkled a handful of seeds in a bare patch of soil. The plants grew low and tidy, with soft, spoon-shaped leaves that shimmered like emeralds after the morning dew. When I tasted them, I was stunned. Mild, buttery, and delicate, like the most tender salad green I'd ever eaten. October is perfect for marsh because it thrives in cool temperatures and can handle light frost without a problem. It grows slowly but steadily, asking for almost nothing in return. You can harvest the whole rosette or just pick leaves as needed, and it will keep producing all through the season. Marsh doesn't need much space, so it's great for containers or small garden corners. Skip it this month, and you'll miss one of the most underrated greens of fall. Quiet, humble, and absolutely delicious. Vegetable number 18, Asian greens. Bok choy, tatsoi, and Mizuna Asian greens were my gateway into feeling like a confident gardener. I remember planting bok choy and Mizuna one October, not really knowing what to expect. The seeds sprouted in just a few days, forming neat little rows of glossy leaves that looked too perfect to be real. Within weeks, my garden looked alive again, full of texture and color, even as the rest of the neighborhood was shutting down for winter. The first time I harvested bok choy and tossed it into a quick stir-fry, I couldn't believe I had grown something that fresh and tender from my own soil. It felt like I'd unlocked a secret. October is the ideal time for Asian greens because they thrive in cool, gentle sunlight. Bok choy grows fast. Tatsoi hugs the ground with deep green rosettes, and Mizuna sends up graceful, frilly leaves that keep coming back after each cut. They're perfect for gardeners who love fast results and endless harvests. With just a little care, you can enjoy crisp greens well into winter. Skip Asian greens this month, and you'll miss the easiest, most elegant way to bring both beauty and bounty to your fall garden. As the days grow shorter and the air turns cool, remember your garden doesn't have to fade away with the summer. October is not the end of the season, it's the beginning of your next one. Every seed you plant now is a promise waiting beneath the soil, quietly preparing for spring. These 18 vegetables aren't just crops, they're lessons in patience, resilience, and reward. When I look back on my gardening journey, I realize that the moments I learned the most weren't in the easy seasons, but in the quiet, uncertain ones. Like October. That's when growth happens in ways you can't always see. So don't pack away your tools just yet. This is your moment to dig deep, experiment, and plant something new. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe to Purely Garden for more down-to-earth gardening stories, seasonal tips, and lessons I've learned the honest way, from trial, error, and a lot of dirt under my nails. Tell me in the comments what you're planting this October. I'd love to hear your garden plans and help you make the most of this beautiful season. I'm Sarah from Purely Garden, reminding you that even in the calm of fall, your garden is still alive, still learning, and still growing, just like you.